welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. Okay, so you guys who know me a long time know that some of the things that I hate to do, I don't like to do any DIY anymore, I tell you the truth. But one of the things I hate and always hated was painting. Don't ask me why. Maybe I'm just not good at it, but I just hated painting. And I think it takes a certain quality of a person to want to paint. With me is Hayden and Sherry, and you have Action Painting. And it's actionpaintingpro.com?
Yeah, that is our website, actionpaintingpro.com.
Okay. Why? Why would you get into this?
I ask myself that sometimes too, But brief background, I was working for a general contractor as a superintendent. So I'm paying these subcontractors, the painters, the electricians, and I'm like, man, I'm paying these guys pretty good. I want to be able to become an entrepreneur and go on my own, and I was always good at painting, so I'm like, let's do painting, because I can always fall on my skills to get it done.
It's funny, because the moment you just said to me you wanted to be an entrepreneur, I thought that maybe you had some brain problem.
Right, yeah.
Being an entrepreneur, you have to be a little crazy,
Yeah.
and you go, these people are making money. Okay, as an entrepreneur, we make like $1.17 an hour.
Right.
Because we have so much to deal with over and above just the paint job. It's just a part of your business.
Very small part.
Business. Yeah. Sir. And we brought Sherry in because she's better looking than you. Okay? But the reason I brought you on is because you guys are married. When you decided to do this, what was your first thought?
Well, it was his thing. He's really good at painting, like he said, and I want to support him because I know this was something that he's thought about doing since long before I met him. So,
okay.
But he's a perfectionist when it comes to it, and unfortunately, people know out there in the painting world that not everybody does a good job at painting. They're just out there for the money. They give you the lowest quote they can give you, and they do a terrible job. And he's honestly not like that. So.
And everybody thinks, I don't care really what industry you're in. Everybody thinks they can do a better job. And when you're in an industry like yours, where things are readily available, hey, I can go to Home Depot and buy paint. Well, what I've learned is not all paint is alike. Okay?
No, they're definitely not.
Right. So you decide to do, how long are you doing this?
4 years now. We've been painting.
Okay. Like, is there any specialty that you're into? I mean, do you do residential, commercial? I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, so Action Painting, we do all aspects of residential and commercial repaints. That's our go-to. We got a project for new construction going on right now. I'm kind of hesitant to get into the commercial just because I don't have a big enough staff to take on the big projects, but we specialize in residential interior, exterior painting, cabinet painting, popcorn removal, drywall texturing, drywall repairs. We do all those.
So then I need you to come to my house. I have 18 shutters. It's one floor that need to be painted.
Okay.
I didn't understand why one side of my house, the shutters are totally peeling. And I guess shutters are plastic. So when I got a notice saying you had to paint your shutters, I'm looking at, well, I do my driveway, the shutters are fine, and the front of the house, shutters are fine. I'm saying, why do I need to paint them? And then I walked to the other side of the house,
Sun, probably.
Is it the sun?
Yeah, it depends on what side of the house that it's on.
That is on the east side of the house.
It's on the east side. That's just probably because of moisture in the morning and the sun comes up and it just bakes on that paint and it starts to, moisture gets behind there and it pushes out the paint.
Because I was thinking that I just had the house pressure washed,
Yeah.
so maybe they had it on too high. But that means all the shutters would have been damaged.
Correct.
Okay? So you come to my house, you look at these plastic shutters. How do you know what kind of paint to use? I mean,
So first of all, it's exterior, so we would go in an exterior paint. Depending on the substrate, if it's plastic or wood or metal, there's different types of primers you have to use. You use the right primer for the right material. So for your shutter, I would come there, I would scrape all the old paint off, I would spray it with a primer for plastic, and then I put a top coat of paint on it, and voila.
here's the only thing. Because it has the vents in it, I would think it'd be hard to paint with a brush, probably easier to paint with spray.
Yeah, we have different types of sprayers. We have one that's big for walls, exterior of your home. Then I have a small HVLP sprayer, which is high velocity, low pressure, and it's great for doors, vents, small little projects where it puts on just enough paint It doesn't get any runs or drips, so that's a very effective way to
All right, I have a
paint
question
intricate
for you.
things.
So, I'm sure he painted the house, your own,
Yeah.
and you picked the color, because you're the woman. That seems to be the way it goes. If he would have told you, no, I think we're better off with this color, would you have agreed or not? Because I'm colorblind as a
Yeah.
guy, so painting for me would have been terrible. But I've done real estate for years, and when I started, I did residential, and women would come in and say, "Nah, this house is not good because I don't like the color," and you can just paint it,
Yeah.
but you got to agree. So
So this doesn't typically happen in most cases where we
Okay.
agree on things most of the time, but believe it or not, when it comes to colors, he's actually really good at picking them out, because we'll go at separate times and we'll pick out little like sample colors, and we come home and it's usually not even like just a smidgen off of what the other one picked. So we're pretty close of what we like as far as color choices go.
see, and I think it's rare because usually a lot of guys are colorblind,
Yeah.
or if not colorblind, I'm shade blind.
Right.
So I don't want people to think I'm colorblind because I can see a red light and a green light and a yellow light. I
Yeah.
know when to stop. I don't always stop, but I know when to stop. I know when to stop. If I had to dress myself, I would be wearing colors that don't match.
Yeah.
Probably. Thank God I have a great wife.
Yes, me too.
All right. When it comes to painting, what's the hardest thing to do?
The hardest thing to do, I guess, in general, would be the prep work, because people see painting as putting paint on the wall. That's the last step in the painting process. You have to prep your substrate, as in sand it, make the next paint bond to it properly. If there's any loose paint, you got to remove all that. You have to fill it with the right type of spackling or drywall compound to give you the end result. So when you put the paint on, you don't be like, "Oh, Hayden, I see that spot on my wall." You know, it eliminates that, uh-oh. So if you just do it right the first time, as in prepping, priming, your top coat will look perfect. So,
Like for me, it was always the cutting in. That was the issue. Because I either didn't have a steady hand, okay, or I was my ADHD kicked in and I was too
Right.
lazy to tape. Okay, so those look like the most time-consuming parts, but I guess they're not, because if you get a wall and it has screw marks and dents in it, you have to spackle, and you can't paint right over that, right?
you know, it has to dry, because that moisture is the enemy when it's coming to paint. Because if you lock the moisture in there, you put the top coat on, I leave the next morning, Hayden, why is my wall bubbling? It's because I didn't let it dry. That moisture is making its way out the paint.
Okay, so we do green screen work, and when they came and did it, I made them put 4 coats of paint on, okay, because I was afraid of scratching it. And the first time I got a scratch was my fault.
Right.
I guarded that wall like you couldn't believe, and I was the one to scratch it. Hated myself for that. But I think that when it comes to painting, you're right. Everybody thinks, yeah, it's easy. I'm going to get a roller and I'm going to roll it right on. Well, it doesn't work that simple,
No.
correct?
Yeah.
Has, over the years that you're doing this, has the products changed? Like, I know here in what I do, if you have the right equipment, you're going to get the best product. Same with you. Like, you can go buy a brush for 79 cents, but that brush is not going to do the job.
Right.
Exactly.
What's the difference?
So, quality is the ultimate result, right?
Right.
So if I'm going to cut corners on a paintbrush, it's not going to have the right type of horsehair or hog hair that's created to brush that you could put on the application of the paint the right way. If not, it's going to leave, brush marks in the paint, or you're going to get like little hairs from your brush in the paint. It's going to smear.
That was my DIY. All of a sudden I had
so
these little hairs
Yeah.
from my brush in the paint.
right.
Now when you take it out, you're changing the whole landscape of that paint job.
Mhm.
Because you can't just take it away. You got to take it away with your fingers, which makes
Right, or a wet rag, and then you got to let it dry, and then come back. It creates a whole rat's nest of issues.
Okay, let's go back to prep work.
Prep work, yes.
So you work, and we've been talking about inside, but this goes for inside and outside.
Yes, sir.
Prep work means covering things that you can't get paint on. So drop cloths being a
So-
big part?
Yeah, so the first thing, like, we do a lot of work with realtors who sell homes to people moving from New Jersey or wherever else they're coming into Florida. So we have an open house where we come in and we paper and tape off the whole floor to make sure nothing gets on the floor, on the carpet. You know, that's the first step. So we can paint freely without getting anything on the floor. Exterior, it would be covering your driveway, covering windows and doors we don't want to get paints on, you know, your bushes, things like that. We'll tape and mask off.
All right, well, you mentioned a key word, and so you lead me into it. You said driveways. Do you paint driveways?
I have, but we haven't dove into concrete restoration or driveways like that because I'm not quite educated on the concrete process for driveways because it's the moisture, the density, you have to edge it with acid wash and then you have to prime it and seal the concrete. I painted up a patio before. I did the primer, did the top coat. 3 days later, it's coming up, it's bubbling. I didn't know what was going on. So that's what's changed from the beginning to now is that I'm learning what I'm good at and what I'm not so good at and when to say, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that, but I know someone who can.
You know, the takeaway for me is when someone knows what they're good at and what they're not good at. My philosophy has always been you can't be a brain surgeon and a proctologist. Pick an end, okay? In here, can I do everything in here and run it? Yes. Can I do it like Edgar or Angel, do the editing and stuff? No. That's why I don't do it. Can they interview like I do? No. Everybody has what they're really good at. And it really, and I've said it a lot, it takes a village to have a good company. How much input do you put in to what goes on? Like, I'm saying that because I know my wife. She does a lot of the back end work. She was the one that sent you emails.
Yeah.
Do you
That's
follow up with his stuff?
That's kind of where I am. I'm more dealing with the office side of things and the marketing and stuff like that. You know, I do go on quotes with him occasionally when I'm available, if I can go with him, just because, we do a lot of different things with our business, and I'm really passionate about some of the things we do, so I like talking about it.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
And that's good for customers to know that, we offer those types of things. But yeah, for the most part, I, handle customer calls and office type stuff, marketing, that kind of thing. But as far as measuring and that's his thing.
Did you ever get like a piece of furniture and you said, you know what, this needs to be painted or this needs to be, we need to do something with, you ever throw it over there?
We actually just recently did that. Yeah, so our dining table, my son was getting rid of it and I loved it. It was a nice big huge wooden table, and we have a lot of people always at our house for the holidays. And the table we had didn't accommodate everybody. This one actually does, but I didn't like the color, it was too dark. So I had my poor husband in the garage sanding and stuff for months. In between trying to take care of the business, I'm like, babe, you got some time today. Can you get back out there? But it turned out really nice. It's really good. So
Again, I can't answer why I don't like painting, but when I talk to people in the construction industry, there are some that don't like plumbing, some that don't like electrical. Now, I like electrical, but I went to school for electronics, which is kind of similar, Plumbing, I do, but the problem with plumbing for me is I'm always afraid that there's going to be a leak.
Right.
Okay? I don't think that I'm doing electric and the house is going to burn down. But I think of the other side. Back to painting. When you're in a house, some houses are like, this is all sheetrock. Not every house is made of sheetrock. Do you use different techniques and different paint and stuff for houses that aren't just sheetrock? I mean, sheetrock is probably the most common, but there is, I think, like lattice work.
Yeah, lattice is like, plastic or whatnot, usually for the exterior.
Right.
And a lot of Sherwin-Williams products that we use, they claim to bond to plastic, which they do, as long as you use primer first. That's the big thing, is primer. Because primer bonds to any surface and allows the paint to stick to it. So if I just paint it, it'll go on. But a month later, it's chipping off, and then you're calling me back because we warranty our work for 3 years, guaranteed off the start. So it's basically showing you that we do the right thing, even when no one's looking, to give you the end result that you're.
Is there anything in the painting genre that you enjoy more than anything else? Besides looking at the job when you're done and getting paid?
Yeah, it's funny you say, because that's what was my motivation since I was 17. I just like going out, working with my hands, and at the end of the day, I see this house we just built, you know?
Right, and I get that because we film and technology's changed and we're looking at the screen of what they're looking at now, and it's pretty amazing how technology is working. But like, some people like to paint, I'm thinking, outside, some people like to paint inside, some people like, I guess, there's different parts of painting. Is there anything that you is there anything that you hate painting?
I like to paint everything, honestly, but I guess the
Like a table?
Yeah.
Okay, just curious.
I'll do that for my wife. You know, we don't do
Okay.
furniture refinishing or anything like that. But I guess the ultimate thing for me is customer relationships, honestly, because I go out and I meet new people from Boston, New Jersey. I met a firefighter from New Jersey, retired down here. Him and his wife, you know, remodeled their whole house, and just to meet them and have them to be able to have a good conversation with them is, I think, the best part of my job, honestly. Because I can paint, it's great, but there's no value other than my relationship with, say, you or the customer.
I totally agree. We're getting to the top of time. You have a website?
actionpaintingpro.com.
Okay, and a phone number?
Yes, it's 772-773-2033.
And you thought I was going to let you off easy.
Yeah.
So like I said, you're better looking than him, okay? And that came from me, but it also came from him. So, but, I mean, it's really great that you guys support one another, because not having that family support makes things miserable and so difficult.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I started this company, I had nobody. And then when I met my wife, she was actually listening to a show I was doing, and she lived in Indiana, and she believed in what I was doing. And she helped out. I would send her reviews, and of course I wrote the reviews, and they were spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes.
Right.
She would go home at 10 o'clock at night at her house in Indy, fix it, and then send it back to me.
Yeah.
Okay, that support
Right.
is so important, and especially because he loves what he does. Why not support him?
Yeah.
You know, I think that painting outside of a building in Florida is probably brutal.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
It is.
So if I saw you outside painting and I was driving to work, I'd go, thank God,
Right?
thank God.
Better
All right.
him than me, right?
Yeah. Everybody, I said it a million times, I'll say it again. You got to always use a professional. If you don't use a professional, expect it to cost you 5 times more in money and 10 times more in frustration. Everybody have a great day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
for
so
coming on.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody,
you,
we'll be
guys.
right back.